Hello everyone and welcome to Cornsnake Corral for Thursday, October 27th, 2022. I'm Lori with Behavior Education at Spirit Keeper Animal Sanctuary. And this week we're featuring our corn snake, Normal. He's in a new enclosure and I wanted to give you an enclosure tour and tell you the things that I like about this enclosure for corn snakes or other very small snakes, even when they're babies. Now this is Normal. He's a wild type corn snake, Pantherophis guttatus. He was hatched on July 5th, 2019, and he arrived here at 8 weeks old. He was produced by Joe Phelan at Port City Pet. He just got moved from an 18 by 18 by 24 Exoterra glass terrarium into this 24 by 24 by 24 inch, so it's a 2 foot by 2 foot by 2 foot cube, from Zen Habitats. There are several reasons why I made this transition, and it's going to facilitate even easier and smoother transitions in the future as he grows and gets bigger. As you can see, Normal isn't fearful, and as soon as I opened the door, he started coming out. One of the reasons I like him in this enclosure and in this room is I can wheel this station, it's a converted parrot tree, over to his enclosure, and I can give him the opportunity to come out and explore this activity station on his own. Or I can do training exercises where I set up foraging exercises on the station, I target him to the station, or I give him puzzles on the station. And subsequently, I could target him back to his enclosure, put puzzle feeders in his enclosure, or just allow him the freedom to go back and forth as long as I'm watching him. I don't let our corn snakes free roam without direct supervision the entire time they're out because they're just too small. And when they get scared suddenly or startled, they can be very darty and they can get away before you even know it. So a few things we're going to go over in this video. I am going to give you an enclosure tour and tell you about his enclosure, but it's also a good time to go over this body language chart and remind you of a few things about it. Now, remember that the green zone is when the snakes are comfortable and relaxed. So they might be exhibiting exploratory behavior or they might just be resting. And if that is the state that they're in, then you as the human don't need to change anything you're doing. You can continue with what you're doing, proceed with what you're doing, act normally. You don't need to change your behavior unless the snake changes their behavior. We always want to modify our behavior based on what the snake is doing. Remember that if the snake's behavior starts to move into the yellow zone where they're showing moderate but tolerable stress, we want to stop what we're doing, pause, back off, and reassess the situation. And then let the snake tell us if they're going to relax and move back into the green zone or if they're starting to get so stressed that we need to stop altogether before they reach threshold and move into the red zone, which is where we never want them to be. Now that you've been reminded about the body language chart and those things that we should be watching for in general to know when our snake is comfortable and relaxed, when they're starting to get moderately stressed, and when they're reaching threshold, I want you to watch Normal as he's moving along this activity station. And hopefully what you're seeing is comfortable and relaxed body language. You should be seeing exploratory behaviors. Now, resting would also be a comfortable and relaxed state. Obviously, in this video, Normal's not resting, he's exploring. An exploratory behavior has been behaviorally linked to confidence. And I was just very lucky to get a corn snake on the bold end of the temperament spectrum. Corn snakes have temperaments along a spectrum from shy all the way up to bold, and Normal is very much on the bold end of the temperament spectrum. While Normal's out exploring, let's take a tour of his Zen 2x2x2 habitat. You see that it has a substrate shield. That way we can pile very deep substrate in there if we want to. He's got 2 half logs, which he can get underneath and burrow under his aspen bedding. He's got 2 real logs and some sticks and branches. This is an actual boot, one of my barn boots that I was wearing to do barn chores and feed horses. However, one of my dogs chewed up the other one, and I was left with just this one. Rather than throw it away, I decided I would put it in his enclosure for him to smell and explore and get inside if he liked. He's got a lizard net in here. He's got a PVC perch. He has a Mag Naturals cave. It's magnetically attached to that side, and then he has a Mag Naturals ledge attached to the back. It's very important that for small snakes, like a corn snake, that you use the solid grommet that the Zen Habitat comes with. It also comes with one that you can put cords through. You do not want to use that one because the small snakes can get out through it. He's got this rope and wood bridge that's got an elevated hide in it. He's got a half coconut hide on top of his humid hide. And this is just an overall view of what his enclosure now looks like. And believe me, he utilizes that whole space. Now let's get back to normal and see what he's doing. Hopefully you're witnessing things in the green zone, like slow fluid body movement. His body is toned, but it's not tense, and it's also not limp. He shouldn't be frozen like a statue. He's got a relaxed overall body posture. If he's coiling, it would be loose coils. Maybe he's draping across things. He's moving more or less in a rectilinear or all stretched out way of locomoting. He's calmly orienting towards stimuli and calmly tongue flicking, meaning he's not tongue flicking super fast, but he hasn't stopped tongue flicking. His breathing should be normal. His heart rate should be normal. And he should just overall look like he is a relaxed snake with relaxed body movement. He's investigating novel stimuli, that's new things, or he's investigating things in his environment with boldness and confidence. You should see that he's approaching novel stimuli or objects and or his keepers, and that he's relaxed, and that if he is gripping onto things, has a loose grip when he's grasping these things, whether it's a piece of wood or a rope or the handler. You should see that he is relaxed, but he's alert to all of the things going on around him and all of the stimuli in his environment. And as long as this is what we're seeing, we, the human, should just continue to behave normally. Now I'm going to interrupt Normal's exploration time with some training, and that is because in the time I let him out to explore, he had almost made it down to the floor. So I wanted to get him back up onto the perch and headed back towards his enclosure. And he actually did that on his own when he saw me getting the training stuff ready. So really, by the time I was ready to start his training session, all I had to do was show him his training target, which is a round green ball. It's called a lollipop target. And I moved him across onto his lizard net. Then I moved the target underneath the threshold of the lizard net to get his head to move down towards the floor so that I could move his head back towards the door and get more of his body off of the perch and into his enclosure. He, of course, did just fine, and all I had to do was get his very, very tail tip and move it into his enclosure. He's very comfortable with me touching him, so it was no problem. Now let's take a look at this Zen Habitat, and I'll tell you all of the reasons I love this for small snakes. It's a very secure front door. There are absolutely no gaps in it anywhere, and it is front opening. So there is absolutely no space around the door edges that a snake could possibly fit through. There's also no space between the screen top and the edges of the enclosure that a snake could fit through. The screen is permanently attached. It isn't like the terrariums where the screen top pops off. It is permanently on there. There's absolutely no gaps the snake can get out of on the sides, on anywhere in this enclosure, unless you don't use the solid grommet in the back. If you use the grommet that's meant for cords to go through, small snakes or even medium-sized snakes can squeeze out through there. Now, another thing I like about this Zen Habitat is that when he's ready for a bigger enclosure, they have an extension kit. And I will be able to attach his current 2x2x2 to another 2x2x2 to make a 2x2x4, or I could attach it to a 4x2x2 and give him a 6x2x2 enclosure. So it really, really gives me some options for him in the future. Everyone, thank you for spending your time with me again this week. And until next time, please remember to always be kind and love your animals.